Give me pictures of the new Spider-Man.
Okay, Mr. Jameson. At least you're in this, unlike in the Amazing Spider-Man movies, or what I always like to call them, the not-so-amazing Spider-Man movies. I probably got
They're
a bunch
a menace. They're a menace.
Alright, probably got a bunch of dislikes already for this video. Hi, welcome to End Credit Reviews, an episode of After the Credits on End Credit Reviews, and it's not just myself, Tyler, from End Credit Reviews.
It is also Steven from Steven Lawson Studios.
Yes, and today is our review on SpiderMan Homecoming. It's funny how every several years we get a presidential election, the Olympics, and the Spider-Man franchise gets rebooted.
Truth.
Yeah. Alright, so I know I made some Spider-Man movie reviews in the past, and I'll probably put some links in the description below, because those came out 3 years ago. But anyway, I think before we talk about this movie, I think we should give our brief thoughts on the other Spider-Man movies. Now, technically the first one was made back in like the 70s. There was this live-action show that didn't last long, and they kind of recutted some of the episodes together into a movie, and it's just really bad. I mean, I can't believe this movie has a higher IMDb user score than, like, Spider-Man 3.
That is crazy.
Yeah. And then, of course, a lot of us saw the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire.
Yep.
Yeah, the first one, I think, is the best one. I know people say
Same.
Spider-Man 2, but I like that
They're
one a
wrong.
lot. It hits so many marks. I really like different stuff in it. Yeah, it's the CGI is kind of dated.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you gotta admit that upside down kiss was so iconic, and what helped was Kirsten Dunst was nipping out big time.
Yeah, absolutely. There are many, like, the CG I'll give at certain points is dated, but honestly, like, I would argue that even some in 2 and 3 was probably more dated because
Yeah.
of some of the practical stuff later with, the whole Green Goblin battle and stuff.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, in those films, they try to rely more on like practical effects and in-camera stuff, which Sam Raimi is used to doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, William Dafoe going like, put the mask back on.
Seriously, yeah. He does embody creepy, evil dude so well. Like, I honestly was wondering if at some point when people were talking about the DCEU, if they were gonna knock on his door just because of how creepy he looks for possibly the Joker or something.
Yeah, I've seen those photos.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had Spider-Man 2, and that was a really good movie. I think it's a mild step down because seriously, how does Dr. Octopus take like a dozen punches to the face? He's not like super enhanced with his body, because in the comics, he was just an average guy with like mechanical arm attachments, and Spider-Man can knock him out in one punch.
Yeah, and I don't know, just the whole, I must sacrifice myself thing at the end, that was stupid to me.
Well, not really. They did kind of establish it like a little bit, but the
To
thing
me,
is
it was
like,
stupid. You
but
don't have to agree with it, but it was pretty stupid if you ask me.
but I did like the movie overall in that. But also we had Spider-Man 3, which I know got a lot of hate, and yeah, there are dumb things like, okay, the dancing, and there's some characters like Sandman who should never been in the movie, and not much Venom. But then again, us as the fans are kind of blamed for it because we're like, oh, we gotta have Venom in this movie right now, even though it was intended for a later film. But anyway, I thought that was a fine enough film, but I still take that movie any day over the pointless, amazing Spider-Man movies that only existed because, hey, we're gonna lose the film rights. Here's the reboot. We're gonna call it the Untold Story, but it's pretty much the origin story again in a mediocre way.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. And overall about Spider-Man 3, I agree. I do think it's a little better than even, most people let it on to be. I'm not saying it's great, but,
Yeah.
I think Venom was fine. Sandman was pretty mediocre and kind of just jammed in there. And there are plenty of things like, of course, Emo Peter and Gwen Stacy. It's just like, why were they in there? Why?
Yeah, I
But,
know.
Overall, it was fine. I agree, though, that the first was the best, and the second was definitely a step down.
Well, it was good. At the time, it was called like the definitive superhero movie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, until The Dark Knight.
Yeah, until The Dark Knight.
Yeah. But yeah, what stirred me the most in the wrong way when it came to the third movie was saying like, oh wait, this guy didn't kill your uncle. this guy killed your uncle, which was not even in the comics. And if you think about it, that kind of takes away from the whole emotional impact, because it was like, oh wait, Peter could have stopped this guy, and he didn't. Because of that, his uncle got killed. Now it's like, oh wait, didn't matter if you stopped the guy or not. Your uncle probably would have gotten shot still.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And the Amazing Spider-Man stuff, like, there was, like, subplots they just kind of forgot about and left. And villains' plans and other stuff were kind of not so good, and they were not very developed well. Like, in the other Spider-Man movies, even in Spider-Man 3, you can understand the characters' motivations and what they were trying to go with. But these were like, oh, we gotta make a cinematic universe. And that.
To me, the thing that, like, overall, I found, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man's better. The one thing I kind of think was interesting, I guess, about these, Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, the villains were overall pretty crap to mediocre at best. But the thing that honestly intrigued my interest was how they were spinning this whole, like, conspiracy narrative about what happened to Peter's parents, and to me that was pretty cool. That to me had the most curiosity, and part of me was like, oh, I want to see where that goes. But the actual films themselves were like, well, are we ever going to get an answer to it? Because this stuff is kind of mediocre and bland.
And the answer is no, of course.
Right.
Yeah. Some people who defend the Amazing Spider-Man movies are like, oh, I think the love interest is better because she's not a damsel in distress. Well, the thing is that Mary Jane Watson, she couldn't help it because she kept getting kidnapped against her own free will. Both, what was it, Gwen Stacy, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, she just kept purposely putting herself in harm's way. Like, this is my life, Peter. I'm like, okay, just sign your death warrant, just asking to get killed.
Yeah, I kind of find it a little all over the place because, well, to be honest, I think did like her a little better than Kristen Dunst, I guess.
Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah, it's not like, bounds better to me, but something just felt, I guess, a little better about maybe their chemistry, and maybe to me it's just overall Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire, to me, kind of just sticks out like a sore thumb in, his Peter Parker role in these. I think he's a good Spider-Man, but in the suit. Outside of the suit, he's kind of weird to me and like a loser.
Well, that was the thing about Peter Parker in the comics.
Yeah, but I mean, there's functional loser and then just like loser literally no one wants to be around. And I felt that was more, Peter Parker played by Tobey Maguire almost to a fault. And, with Andrew Garfield, it was, I guess, a little better. But in any case, we're gonna go...
yeah, he wasn't as likable.
Yeah, I agree.
He was kind of like a jerk in that, and oh yeah, well, I'm a nerd in that, but I skateboard.
Yeah, what's that about?
Did he ever skateboard in the comics?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's like that didn't go anywhere. But yeah, so anyway, Spider-Man is finally back in the hands of Marvel Comics with the MCU. So after about 10 minutes of talking about the other Spider-Man movies, we are finally talking about the new one, Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yes.
Now, Spider-Man Homecoming is a new film in the MCU, and this is another reboot of Spider-Man. So in this one, Peter Parker and Spider-Man is played by Tom Holland, and he's in high school. He wants to be an Avenger, but, Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, played by Robert Downey Jr., is like, no, I'm not so sure if you're up for this or not. And so then there's these, like, one guys who are trying to, sell weapons who are, like, high-tech stuff. And, of course, their ringleader is a guy named the Vulture, played by Michael Keaton. And other, I guess you can kind of say, shenanigans induce, so...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they had, all these little, cameo things, kind of nods to the comic fans about, his sidekicks, like, gosh, I'm drawing a blank on,
Wait, the hero or the villain?
The villains.
Oh yeah, definitely. There were a lot of villains in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I think it's really dumb when people say, "Oh, there's too many villains." Well, if you think about it, didn't the Nolan Batman films have a lot of villains in one movie? Because think about it. Batman Begins had Ra's al Ghul, the Scarecrow, Carmine Falcone, Joe Chill, the guy who killed Bruce Wayne's parents, as well as a cameo from Victor Zsasz. So that's 5 villains in one movie.
Yeah, I would say that they definitely. I would argue there's probably 2 to 3 that really stand out. The rest are kind of just like cameo type of stuff. But
Yeah, especially like this one. But the important thing is which characters get developed. It's not really about the quantity, it's about the quality.
overall, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember whether villains were in here. Now I know
Yeah,
Shocker was in here,
Shocker, yeah,
but
he was.
well, there were 2 actors. One of them was Logan Marshall Green,
Mm-hmm.
and then the other one was played by Bookham Woodby. What?
Would be Bookham.
I'm like, is this a joke?
Yeah, that is a weird name.
Well, I can't remember what the villains were, but I think the Tinkerer might have been this one.
The Tinkerer, definitely.
Who goes by Ned, played by Jacob Batalon?
Mm-hmm.
Batalon? I don't know. And they didn't call him the Tinkerer, which I was kind of disappointed about. And I think there was like, they hinted at Scorpion.
Yeah, I think that was the first after credits thing. The second after credits thing, by the way, little bit of a spoiler. You're going to be disappointed.
No, that's the second one.
Yeah, for the second one. The first one was...
Is where the meat's at.
Where the meat is at. The second one, it's practically a joke at you. So,
well, it's a funny thing.
Yeah.
Let's not spoil anything.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, Peter, of course, has his family and friends. Of course, we have
Aunt Bay.
Marissa Tomei, or Tomei,
I think.
Tomei, who plays Aunt May.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny how I thought we would never say this, but Aunt May is hot.
Oh, yeah. She is, absolutely. They were loading her up with kind of dorky clothes and glasses and stuff, and it's like... No.
Yeah,
no,
I'm sorry, but it's hard to really hide that.
Yeah, we can see through. We see we see that donk. We see Donkey Kong. But
yeah, I just kind of wish there was more Tony Stark hitting on Aunt May.
Yeah, he did. Kind of poke fun at that near the beginning.
Yeah.
Saying, is she wearing skimpy stuff still and all that? No, scratch that. Stop recording. But. Yeah, so that was that was interesting. Lots of interesting and like different characters
for Peter's high school peers.
Absolutely.
So we have
was his friend Ned, or was it something else?
Yeah, Ned.
Yeah, Ned.
Oh wait, I thought he was the Tinkerer. No, he's not the Tinkerer. It's another guy. Sorry.
No, he literally, like, his role later. And just his physical appearance, it is real life. What's his name? Kim Possible's
computer whiz assistant.
Whiz. I mean, he even wore a blue shirt in like the dark.
Well, it was like striped, I think, blue and white stripe, but still close enough.
It was so freaking close, and it's like, dude, this is seriously him. Like, if Kim Possible is ever a thing, he's going to be cast.
Yeah, so we should say, like, they finally made a Kim Possible movie.
Seriously.
Yeah. Yeah, and in the trailer we see he discovers that he's, that Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
And, other people find out who he is, but honestly I'm kind of iffy about that, where it's like, oh, a lot of people know he's Spider-Man. So what happened to the mystique of it, where a lot of people didn't know who he was, or at least that circle was kind of smaller?
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, I don't think by the end a whole lot of people can put a name with him. There's a couple, definitely, but I don't think that... I think it's basically just kind of the whole, well, I know Spider-Man, just like in, Sam Raimi's, where it's like, that's how I get these good pictures, It's not...
Well, yeah.
The same thing, because there's not these pictures, obviously, but, in talking about Spider-Man and how he's such an authority on the subject. Well, I'm friends with him. So there's obviously an association, but not all the people have put together, that it is Spider-Man. Also, Tyler, how did you feel about the love interest in this one?
Liz, played by Lorena Harrier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like she was okay. I felt like what they were going for was kind of like how in the Spectacular Spider-Man show they kind of changed her ethnicity up
Mm-hmm.
to have more, racial diversity, which pretty much is taking the source material and saying, well, we gotta go some PC crap through this, and which is like mud equivalent to that.
Overall, I agree. There's this whole movement through comics, gaming of, you know, social justice and a lot of, political correct narrative.
Ironically, what's
in.
hurting Marvel comic book sales?
Exactly. And to me, it wasn't too overbearing in this. It was, don't get me wrong, it was noticeable. But I thought she herself did a fine job. I felt that for her character, she kind of just got the short end of the stick, and I would have liked to have seen her interact more with Peter, but he just kept going, see ya, see ya, see ya, see ya. And for the story, I guess that was fine, but I just felt it was like, we're not hardly getting to see this girl, so why do I care? Like, in her presentation, she seemed like an interesting person.
Yeah,
But
I got a feeling that she wasn't gonna be a long-lasting relationship. Like she was no Mary Jane or Gwen Stacy.
I think her name was Liz.
Yeah, her name was Liz.
And I'm not going to spoil too much, but we definitely, towards the end,
Well, there's this one character, kind of a friend of Peter's, named Michelle, played by Zadina, or however you pronounce
like
it.
some musician or Nickelodeon person.
Well, actually, she's Disney.
Disney, okay.
Yeah, I don't know how long her Disney career is gonna last, but
hmm
several years from now, she'll probably be irrelevant like a lot of other ones.
Overall, I actually liked her sarcasm and presence. She was definitely a little weird and
Yeah.
quirky compared to um, most other, potential female interests or whatever at some point. But I will say, there's something about her later where it's like, okay, that's where, okay.
I felt like she
So,
was kind of just a pointless character because she really didn't add that much to the movie or the story.
she didn't add a whole lot, but, the thing shoehorned at the end that I'm not going to spoil, um, I could see. I was like, all right, I guess I see where you're going with that. Um, but yeah, it still felt, again, kind of um,
Forced.
forced. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what was even worse was trying to find him on IMDb. Oh yeah, Tony Revolori as Flash Thompson.
Oh yeah, that was.
Are you serious? Have you guys even looked at a comic book or watched any of the shows or watched any of the movies before? The character of Flash Thompson is a jock. Okay, he's like a muscular guy, at least
Oh,
kind of tall.
man.
And seriously, this guy looks like he'd get beaten up by the nerds.
Seriously, this like scrawny Indian dude is,
Or, I don't know. Is he Italian, maybe? Sicilian? I don't know.
He looked to me like maybe, Indian, Pakistani, born in the U.S., so he had,
I don't know.
an American accent. But in any case, like, I am not buying that role at all.
Me neither. I mean,
And-
go back to the Grand Budapest Hotel where you're a chauffeur at.
Wrecked.
Haven't seen that movie, but
But,
yeah.
like, his whole penis Parker thing, and, I don't know, like, he just felt like a really destined to be cringy, small-time comedian or something, outside of this role or something. Like, he's super try-hard for his one cameo in SpiderMan Homecoming, and it's like, I am not buying this. You're not that role, and you're not going to
Yeah.
be great outside of it either. Get out.
I know. When it's like, okay, you want to make a new character, that's fine. But when you decide to adapt something like, oh, this person's supposed to be this character,
Right.
at least make him look something like that character from the source material, especially if it's something like a comic book where you can know physically what they look like.
Even physically imposing, that would have been enough. Like, seriously.
Yeah, I mean, seriously,
So
what happened? The casting people really need to be like really educated.
hmm well, we've been complaining about several things that overall, at least to me, were kind of, you know, they were not a tremendous deal, that dampened it down. But it was noticeable. But let's talk about some of the positive things.
Yeah, I did like the comedical stuff in the movie. I like how they show like Spider-Man going around saving people and that, or
Yeah.
like trying to do stuff that's like minor, but it's like okay, it's not that big of a deal. It's kind of in a way realistic,
hmm
but as well, I think the effects in this movie were really good, and the action as well was fine enough too. I would have to say.
I would say the effects were pretty good. Like the suit, definitely, and of course, for the bit that Iron Man's in it, yes, that was good. Some
Yeah,
of this
Vulture looked really good through most shots.
quite often, but there was a lot in like shaky camera movement and stuff where to me that kind of fell apart.
Yeah, there's
Um,
a like in this first confrontation with like the Vulture character,
mhm.
it was like there's a bunch of shaky cam going around. The guy who directed this movie was John Watts. Now, for his like this first like big budget movie, he
Mhm.
did a fine enough job, but
Yeah.
the thing was that I was kind of iffy about it because I'm like, oh wait, didn't the Amazing Spider-Man pluck some guy from like an indie film and put him in a big budget film?
Mhm.
I feel like that's a trend that kind of needs to wind down a bit nowadays.
Not until I get a director's.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Right
true.
after, right after.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, really.
yeah, I would say another positive thing, just kind of tying it into the MCU. I wasn't sure how it was going to work, because I don't want Spider-Man to feel small to a fault. And because Spider-Man in the Tobey Maguire and even in the Andrew Garfield one, he felt big. He felt like a presence. And
Yeah.
I was worried that because the Avengers are established, that he was going to feel like such small time, you know, scrub tier, not great superhero.
And yeah, you kind of felt like that way because the thing is that what I miss about films like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies and the Nolan Batman films were that they
hmm
were kind of like their own movie,
Yeah.
and they weren't trying to build a universe. They were just saying, okay, here's our movie. We're gonna try to make a good one. They'll work on the next one later. Now it's like, okay, we gotta make this and that throughout the certain timeline. And oh yeah, Spider-Man, you're kind of playing second fiddle to the Avenger characters because you're kind of late to the game.
hmm Yeah, I mean, I definitely felt that, but at the same time, I felt he was big enough. He wasn't huge, like he was a big deal in the other Spider-Man films, but he made himself relatively important, and I think he'll be more important later. So that was enough for me. I think that was handled pretty well for the circumstance,
Yeah.
especially with throwing Happy and Tony Stark into the mix.
What I would also say is that another thing I liked about this movie was the comedy.
Oh yeah, definitely. The
Yeah, there are a lot of
comedy.
great moments. I mean, I think as much as I thought that the character of Flash was cringy, the part where he's at like at his party and he keeps making jokes at Peter Parker, we hear the "Err."
Yeah, the air ones.
I was
I will
like,
admit that was funny.
I'm like, you got me there.
You
Like,
did.
if I was like the guy from like Cinema Sins, I removed like a sin every time I did the Blair horn. "Err."
Yeah, I agree. The comedy was overall pretty darn good, and I like this Peter. I like overall where they're going with it. Um, some of the forced racial diversity is a little to me.
Yeah, me too.
And overall, I think it was a really solid film, and I liked the kind of Ferris Bueller vibe that they were obviously going for, even paying homage to it
Yeah.
in the film. But The main thing to me, I don't know if you feel this way, Tyler, but to me, the ending of films is important.
Yeah, I agree.
And I felt that in how the Vulture was ultimately handled, I was kind of disappointed. I felt it was a little lackluster and like,
Yeah, me too.
yeah, I mean, there were much better final battles in other Spider-Man films.
Oh yeah, definitely. Remember the first one?
Yeah, like
Yeah,
that
he gets
was,
like the crap beaten out of him.
that was so much better handled in terms of like a final confrontation.
I know. It was like borderline Passion of the Christ when it came to him just getting beaten.
Seriously, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to see how to do a final confrontation of hero versus villain, that's a great example.
Definitely, definitely.
And this one, it was fine, but that's, I would say, in the age of excess that we're in, fine isn't good enough. So.
Yeah, which I've noticed has kind of been happening a lot lately. Fine has been coming up more and more often.
Right.
And not like, oh, she's so fine.
Yeah, just, it was suitable for the circumstance. Not outstanding in this aspect, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were some comedians in this film, like I think Hannibal,
Buress, yeah.
which I felt like was kind of Honestly, I don't find him that funny.
I find him pretty funny, but he's still no legend like George Carlin or
Definitely.
anyone like that.
Even Dane Cook is funnier.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Yeah, I like Dane Cook, fellas.
He's what I associate him with and like him a lot on is the Eric Andre show. Just
I know
kind
you're a
of
big fan of that.
random WTF Central, and he fits right in with that as a presence. But
Yeah.
overall, I mean, I wouldn't go out of my way to
Okay.
see Hannibal Buress stuff.
Okay. Is that show more like YouTube poop or dank?
Oh gosh.
Or is it a bit of both?
It's a bit of both.
Okay.
If you slammed your head against a wall 40 times, like that's kind of what they're going for. And just if you give a network television show and a budget to someone who is completely irresponsible and hates it and wants to just destroy the show as bad as possible, but still gets the funding every week.
Yeah, really. I'm kind of drawing a little bit of blank here, but I thought it was kind of cool. Like the suit had like different stuff and combinations. Like,
Yeah, that was
oh,
cool.
here's kill mode, and I bet some Marvel dick writers gonna be like, oh, he's not DC.
Yeah. Boy, there were several moments where it's like people could have died and we're like, oh wait, this is Marvel. That doesn't happen.
Or even if it does, people won't complain about it because they're hypocrites.
Right. Or it's like one guy and it's not a big deal. No lasting repercussions.
And my
there was
joke,
a guy there? Who knew? Yeah.
and I joked was, wow, a Spider-Man villain that had less screen time than Venom and
Yeah.
Rhino.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. If they ever get Rhino back into this franchise, don't make him a ripoff of a Transformer.
Amen. And I'm sorry, Paul Giamatti, that you had to sink to that level.
Yeah, it's not his fault. It was just the way the character was written
Mm-hmm.
and what they handled it. It was like, oh, we got this big climax, so we're gonna cut to end credits.
Yep.
It's like, are you serious? Come on, what is this, The Gray?
Seriously. I thought, I was kind of looking forward to see what he does with that sewer cap.
Me too.
Attached to the web, going after him. Cut. All right, dang it. We'll
Oh
never
wait,
see
we got
it.
the plug pulled on us because Marvel wants to buy the film rights back. Yeah.
Catching.
Yeah. The thing that stood out to me with speaking of conjunction with the suit was that it had like a narration and kind of like its own Jarvis called Karen, voiced by Jennifer Connelly. And what's ironic is that Jennifer Connelly is married to the actor who plays Vision and also voices Jarvis in real life.
Oh, that is.
Yeah, I recently made a meme I'll show you right now of what if Peter really met the real voice behind Karen.
The meme is good and dank. Seal of approval.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely puts the cum in Homecoming.
Yep. Ooh.
I mean, I can't believe I'm the only one who noticed that. Like in the logo for Spider-Man Homecoming, it's like all white, but it's like all sprayed out too.
Yeah, teen discovers after hitting puberty that he can secrete white fluids.
Yeah.
Tell me that isn't sexual.
Speaking of actresses and that, one that I recognized was Angoria Rice, is it?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, she plays Betty on also.
Betty.
Okay, I don't know if she's playing Betty Brant, who is like the secretary character, but she's like too young to be that character, and she's like blonde when Betty Brant was a brunette. Just minor nitpick, folks. I recognized her from The Nice Guys. It's like a comedy movie where she plays Ryan Gosling's character's daughter. Yeah, she was good in that movie, but I felt like her role could have been a little bit bigger because people were praising her acting in that movie. So it's like, oh, I'm just kind of a cameo.
Yeah, her and the other dorky.
Oh yeah, then the school news.
Yeah, black kid asking her out to homecoming. Oh, I've got a date. Thanks. Wrecked. Get wrecked.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was super awkward and kind of great, but it almost whenever we saw it, and we saw it several times, that type of interaction, it got a little awkward from time to time.
Yeah, sadly our school didn't have the kind of like video announcements, like a news thing.
That would have been great. Gosh.
Yeah, we would come up with so many great ideas if that was the case.
Absolutely. We would have run it probably.
Yeah, definitely. Sadly with our
behind the scenes.
Yeah, sadly with our our friend Dalton would definitely be into that, but
oh yeah.
Sadly that kind of announcements they usually would play. The best they would do was like a song they would play on Friday, and usually be some crap pop song or rap song or whatever.
Yeah. Generally really lame.
Yeah, too many Lady Gaga crap, but anyway. I'm just thinking of how many people want my head on a pike right now. Just in this review alone.
Yeah, we're really getting off of Spider-Man quite a bit.
Yeah.
Speaking of getting off white fluid.
Yeah.
White webbing.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, like the webbing stuff, but seriously, what's with the trailer that they showed? Where it's like they show him like trying to save that boat or whatever from ripping apart, and it was really cool. And then one of the trailers was like, oh wait, Iron Man helped him, and we're gonna pretty much show the entire movie. If you want to see an amazing trailer, watch the teaser for like the first Spider-Man movie, where it's like a bunch of this music being played, and it's like cutting really fast. I'm like, that is how you make a trailer.
Yeah, I agree, and some of the that's been a problem recently with quite a few movies. Even just a couple weeks ago, the new Transformers, I feel in the final trailer they showed too much, and because of that, to me, like, even though it was still overall really grand and big and pretty good, it made the ending feel a little lackluster too, because we kind of already saw in the preview what we were getting into. So definitely can be a fault in these cases.
Yeah, definitely. One character I was kind of surprised showed up in the movie. I'm not gonna really spoil it, but I'm like, seriously, she's like this high up in the billing credits when she only has like a minute cameo.
Who is this?
Well, I don't want to spoil it at all, but
oh yes. I was wondering if we'd actually, see her again.
Yeah, I could care less. Yeah,
I feel you.
Okay.
I like how this is like a total inside thing, and people are going to be like, damn it, won't they just say, well, because
we don't want to give anything away.
Right, and it'll egg you on, so fuck you. No, I'm kidding, but don't want to spoil it. So.
Yeah, all right. So, what would you give this movie, Steven?
Well, I've been thinking about it, and overall I think it was pretty solid. I would dare to say it was probably either it's one of the better Marvel movies I've seen, and it's definitely one of the best Spider-Man movies. I wouldn't say it's the best, but it's probably like second or third. And I think it overall did a pretty darn good job for the circumstances, with a little bit of lackluster elements. But with that all being said, I feel that an appropriate grade would be somewhere in the vein of probably an 83 or an 84%. It's not dead on B. It's too low to be A for my expectations, especially with the ending. But yeah, I feel that's about appropriate for it.
Oh, okay. Personally, I think that even like the soundtrack of the film kind of felt a little good, but not nearly as amazing as Danny Elfman's score for the other Spider-Man movies,
Sure.
and memorable.
Mm-hmm.
But also in a way, it felt like kind of slightly downsized because Spider-Man's this big character. He's like Marvel's biggest character, and to me, it felt a little, again, kind of downsized. But I felt like this was a movie that was entertaining. It was enjoyable. There's a lot of good, funny stuff. Like, yeah, there was some forced, racial diversity in the film, as well as I felt like some of the action could have been a little bit better. The villains could have been done a little bit better too, especially the climax. I felt
Yeah.
like, seriously, that's it?
Mm-hmm. Same.
Yeah. But overall, I would say that it's better than, well, it's easily better than the Amazing Spider-Man movies, I would have to say.
Definitely.
Well, they already got it right off the bat with saying, like, yeah, this is not the origin story. We're not doing the origin story again because we already know his origin story already.
Everyone knows it. It's been 10 years. Move on.
Well, yeah, more than that. But by the time the Amazing Spider-Man came out, it was 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
But back to what I was saying, I would say that Tom Holland is a really good Peter Parker and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I would say Michael Keaton is a really good villain. It's funny how he was Batman, and then he was Birdman, and now he's Vulture. So it's kind of like a...
Birdman, yeah.
Yeah, definitely made that interesting transition,
Definitely.
I would have to say. I love that there was like a meme where it shows, hey, don't mess with me, kid, and it shows a picture of him being Batman.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
Yeah. And of course, I thought that Aunt May would have a slightly bigger role in this movie because a lot of people are saying like, "Oh, she's so hot" and that.
Aunt Bay, yes.
I thought you said Aunt Bay.
Yeah,
Is it?
Aunt Bay, definitely.
Oh, okay. I wasn't so sure if you were saying that on purpose or
Yeah,
a slip of the tongue. I don't know.
I'd slip a tongue somewhere, but...
Yeah, I was interested to see Donald Glover in this film as like a minor character in a way.
Super minor. I thought he'd be bigger than he was.
No pun intended.
What's that?
Never mind. But anyway, all right. So where would I put this when it comes to Spider-Man movies? Like I said again, it's better than the Amazing Spider-Man films. I do think it's better than Spider-Man 3 because there's not too much going on, and there's not too many characters I feel like they should have been cut from the film. But honestly, I think the first two by Sam Raimi with Tobey Maguire are better because I feel like the action and some of the characters and stuff in the story was done better.
Yeah.
And again, like we said, the climax and the other ones were better than this one.
Yeah.
But I do think it's a good enough movie, I would have to say, and I didn't like it as much as Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, but I do think it's a film that I do think, yeah, it's a good one, it's a solid one, and I'm really looking forward to what happens with other Spider-Man movies in the future. So overall, I give Spider-Man Homecoming about 3 stars out of 4.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Now, a couple of things I want to mention before we wrap it up in that. People were debating about, okay, who should play the character of Mary Jane Watson?
Mm-hmm.
And I had this idea of the actress who should play Mary Jane Watson would be that of Odeya Rush.
Huh.
Because if you remember her from like movies like Goosebumps and The Giver.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, definitely. I think, and also she's about the same age as Tom Holland, so I felt like that would really work very well.
Yeah,
and she's a naturally beautiful woman, and she just like would dye her hair red. I think that would work very well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah, definitely. But there's one last, few raunchy stuff I think we ad-libbed in our, when we're watching the movie. There's this part where these two older guys are going through the school trying to find some tech in that Spider-Man looked around. And I think one of our jokes was like, ah, great, a reenactment of Columbine.
Yeah, Columbine 2.0. Rip,
Oh.
rip, 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 rip. And
Yeah.
then there was...
Oh, yeah, the part where he lands by the tent of some girls. And, they get freaked out because his eyes are moving weird. And I'm like,
Insert
Jared Fogle photo.
That was great. That was so perfect.
Yeah, how those girls got into character.
Yeah, and the whole thing with Ned being caught at Homecoming on the computer.
Oh, wait, we shouldn't spoil that joke. That's too funny.
Yeah, it's too funny, but that's another one that by itself is really funny.
Well, yeah, it's like, oh, yeah, I'm going back and forth on these computers across, like, the different rows. I'm like, wouldn't it just be easier to go to the computer to, like, the side so you don't have to keep moving around?
Seriously, or get a moving chair or something at least,
Oh, yeah, plus a high school library, kind of limited with
True.
that.
True.
So, this is Tyler from End Credit Reviews.
And J. Jonah Jameson, looking for pictures of Spider-Man. No, it's Stephen Lawson from Stephen Lawson Studios.
Yeah, he's now going to be Commissioner Gordon, so it's kind of hard to see him in that. And this is an episode of After the Credits. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope to make more in the future. Definitely, of course, more with Steven, because we have a lot more movies coming up soon.
Absolutely.
Yep, so please like and subscribe.